Welcome to New Life Live with Stephen Arterburn. For 35 years, New Life has been transforming lives one at a time thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's today's host, Dr. Alice Benton.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to New Life Live, and here to serve you the vivacious Dr. Jim Burns and the sagacious Dr. Jill Hubbard.
Wow.
And we're particularly here for you. I was thinking about our homeschool families, our stay-at-home parents, our truck drivers, the folks in the office taking a break to listen to us. We couldn't do this without you. We're so grateful that you're here. And Dr. Jim Burns has a teaching to share with us.
Well, first I have to ask, what you called her?
Sagacious.
Sagacious. I know what vivacious means. I have no idea what sagacious means.
She's our sage. She's wise.
Okay.
Love it.
I just had to check, because you are that, whatever she said. But, it was too big of a word for me. I have a PhD, but, I didn't know how to do sixth grade math during that time. Mm-hmm. Let's get to it. So glad to be with both of you. I just, two of my faves here. I want to use a phrase, and I'm going to call it the power of being there. And I think a lot of times, you mentioned homeschool moms or homeschool parents and moms and whatnot, and I think sometimes they miss that children regard your very presence as a sign of caring and connectedness. Mm-hmm. And, sometimes we say, gosh, we just don't spend enough time with them, or, we're too busy or whatever. But truly, I think they receive security when we're present in their life. And, interesting enough, Jesus made an incredible remark when he was talking about children. He said, when you welcome a child, you welcome me, but not just me, but the one who sent me. And Jesus was there for them. 2,000 years ago, rabbis, Jesus was a rabbi, did not spend time with, women or children, because they were looked upon differently. Jesus changed that. I love that about Jesus. But he said, when you welcome a child. And I really think that he practiced what we call the power of being there. And I think for those of us as parents and grandparents, aunts and uncles, anybody close to a child has to understand that, they see our presence as a sign of caring connectedness. My mom was like that. My mom was the woman who, I'd be playing at the gym basketball or something, and a friend of mine would come over and say, Mrs. Burns, is Jim here? And they'd go, no, he's down at the gym playing basketball. Well, can I come in and hang out with you? And she had such a profound influence on people's lives because she was willing to sit down, make a cup of tea, hand it to them. Cookies, that's one of the reasons why I probably struggle with weight. Cookies, she baked a lot. But really, I think our listeners need to be reminded that it's not, that if we spend money on our family, it's the power of being there. I see that even in marriage with my wife. She sometimes just wants me to hang out, and it's important.
Okay, so I have a comment. So combining both of your interests, we parents, especially of young ones, need to be careful of our own screen time because we might be in the room with a child, right? And it doesn't mean your full 100% attention always has to be on them. Right. But if you're always on your screen, what is that message that's giving your child, right?
I call it attentive presence because we can be physically present, mentally absent, emotionally absent. Right. Mm-hmm. So particularly when our children start to talk to us, are we willing to set our screen aside and give them that full, attentive listening, attentive presence?
I mean, I think of that cup of tea. I've had people in my life who have done that, and it's so welcoming and wonderful.
Yeah, we need to be more welcoming to people. Yeah, I'm trying to do that in this season of my life.
And ladies and gentlemen, we want to be present here with you. This is a great day to call, 1-800-229-3000. We still have some lines open. If you've ever been fearful of calling like I have been, I trembled the first time I asked Henry and John and Steve a question. My body was trembling. If you've ever been afraid to call, today's a fabulous day to call in. We are here for you. We're ready to take whatever questions you have, whether that's parenting, screen time. We've got the great Dr. Jill Hubbard and the great Dr. Jim Burns to answer your questions. So please give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We'll be right back after this break.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn from New Life Live, and Chris Williams and I are doing the Emotional Freedom Workshop. I don't know of anybody that wouldn't benefit from emotional freedom. We're all bound or stuck or struggling in some area. What are we going to do there, Chris?
Just really help people get clarity around the places where they're stuck in their life. They sort of circle the same mountain of disappointment over and over and over again. You're going to be able to see that mountain clearly and get to a new place of what we call emotional freedom, which is simply I can feel in the world, build a relationship to it, and know what to do with my experiences.
The New Life Emotional Freedom Online Intensive is Saturday, June 1st. Steve Arterburn, Chris Williams, and Dr. Jackie Mack Harris will present information on the power of our emotions, procrastination, guilt and shame, and more. And small group leaders will help you process the information you learn. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433 or register online at newlife.com. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Hi, I'm Steve Arterburn with a New Life Moment. Jesus Christ calls his followers to be in the world, but not of the world. What does this mean? Well, one famous preacher explained it using an analogy of a ship in the ocean. What's a ship designed to do? Well, navigate the ocean. That's its element. That's precisely where it thrives. The same should be true for Christians in the world. God equips and empowers us to love our neighbors, care for the environment, and develop culture. We're to be the world's salt and light. Now let's return to the ship analogy for a minute. What happens if the ocean gets into the ship? Well, it's disaster, destruction. The ship sinks. The same is true for Christians with regard to the world. If the world's in compromise, for some help in navigating the tough seas of the world, visit newlife.com. I'm Steve Arterburn, and thanks for listening to this New Life Moment.
Welcome back to New Life Live. I'm Dr. Alice Benton here with Dr. Jim Burns and Dr. Jill Hubbard. Speaking of what Steve said there, in the world but not of the world, I want to give a promotion for good, enriching screen time because it can be so beneficial, educational. It's great for family bonding time. We are not opposed to all screen time. In fact, mentoring our children on screens has some great long-term results because we can teach them how to behave. We can teach them what to look out for, how to be protective of themselves on screen. I just saw some really encouraging research that about 4 out of 10 teens know they use screens too often and try to cut back. We're so proud of you all that you're trying to teach that to your children. Some teens are picking it up. We want to increase those numbers, but not all hope is ever lost. We can teach our children both the benefits, but how to keep it protectively limited as well. Yeah. We've got some calls coming in, and we want to go now to Jennifer, who's calling us from Pennsylvania. She's calling us on WFIL, I believe it is. Jennifer, welcome to New Life Live. How can we help you?
Hi, good afternoon. I was just listening to today's program, and it hit home for me because I have a goddaughter and a godson, and I guess I could say for both of them, they're both 21 years old, and they are parents of a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old, or about to be 2-year-old. And there is conversations in our home about the screen time that they have versus paying attention to spending their time with their children. And to my husband and I, it's almost like you don't want to say anything to them because they get easily offended. And it's not up to offend them. It's just, to try to cultivate them and help them to become parents to their children more distracted or versus being distracted by those devices or the screen time.
Well, you are very brave, Jennifer, because saying something to young parents, you probably are going to get a negative defensive response. Young parents are amongst the group of highly insecure persons because it's all new to them, right?
Okay.
And most people want to be good parents, right? But the biggest fear is, am I not doing enough? Am I not doing it right? A lot of worry that goes into, and to have an older person say something can feel like criticism. And even though that's not the intent of your heart, so you have to walk gingerly, I think, and ask them if they're open for some feedback, or really first affirm them, because you've also got two 21-year-olds. So not only are they new parents, but they're also in that young stage of separation and individuation. And so where they're trying to feel more adult, and they're very young to be in the position that they're in nowadays. And so feeling adult and being taken seriously are issues that they're going to have. And if you're constantly pointing things out in an effort to teach them, it will make them feel young and as if you don't have any confidence in them. So these are all messages that come out and you don't even realize what's going on. They just get defensive. So coming alongside them, affirming them, telling them what a good job they're doing, and that, you know, you remember when you were young, and sometimes it was helpful to hear things from people who had been there, and, you know, you would be happy to, you know, come alongside them and help them if they ever have any questions.
Absolutely.
What I like about that, Jill, is you're really saying a principle that I talk about all the time. Unsolicited advice to an adult is taken as criticism. Yeah. We don't mean to. There's never the intent that we're criticizing, but they take it as, well, you don't believe I'm all grown. So we have to be careful how we do it. At the same time, I think sometimes we can come alongside. For example, these two kids, they're young. I mean, my goodness, they're still in what we would call emerging adulthood or latent teens, depending. But you have
but they've
two
done
kids.
Very grown-up things, right?
Yeah. So whether that's good or bad in terms of their own life, but what I was going to say is honestly, one of the things you can do, Jennifer, and we kind of get away with this with our kids who are a little older than these kids, but not much, is, you know, like for example, I have a daughter who she's probably addicted to her phone. She's a teacher and she uses it a lot, but she's probably addicted. And so I actually got her Alice's book, and I said, hey, I love this book. I read it. You may like this. I didn't say read it, and it's underlined on page 38 that, you know, you should do this, or whatever. But I think sometimes that's a great way of doing it, saying, I love this book. So one of the books we're going to give you, because I'm making this decision, is we're going to give you Alice's book. But then honestly, read it first. And it's hopeful. At the same time, it's really educational, and there's stuff out there like that today. Let's say that you're these young people. They're on the phone, so look for something on YouTube that's about creating safe digital timing. How long should you be on? And say, hey, this might be good for you. I don't overdo that, but truly, it's a little different than going, you guys are messing up.
Right. And it's just I don't want to give up on doing the good thing, getting weary in the well-doing, right? Yeah. And like I said, I don't want to have them feeling offended like you guys are suggesting. Mm-hmm. So that's why I said, well, let me call in and see, if I could get some additional tools to help with it, because I don't, they'll get to a point where they're like shut down completely.
Right.
Well, right. And I think
that's why you guys are here, so that you be able to grow and be able to communicate as humans, let alone adults or with children.
Yeah. Right. And I think maybe even to confess to them that, I may have kind of overstepped my boundary here in an effort to be helpful. And if I've said anything that led you to believe I don't have confidence in you, I am so sorry. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
And I'm just trying to have dialogue about things that I think are exciting and fun.
And I like that. I think what Jill... what I heard her say in some ways is, when your children are adults, you move from a parent-child relationship to more of a mentor relationship. You're still called mom, but you really do move that.
Godmom.
Yeah, right. So when you move to that, then again, it's a different way of communicating the truth that you want to get across, and it kind of has to do with respect. Now you're respecting that they are grown, but keep on figuring out ways to help them through this process.
Well, and we've all learned the hard way. I can't tell you how many times my daughter has reminded me of her age. So it's like, okay, got the message.
My wife says that. Yeah. She'll go, Jim, you say unsolicited advice. I think you just killed your principal. So, there you go.
Jennifer, I'm going to leave you with a final question to ask them. Because they have been defensive and they've even shut down, there can be a little bit of damage perhaps done to the relationship. And so ask them, how has it affected you when I've given advice? And do you want advice ever from me in the future? If so, how can I give it to you? How can I offer it? Let them give you some direction. That'll help repair the bond in that relationship.
Beautiful.
Thank you for being
that's
that kind of
amazing.
godmother. You're a great influence on them. And we will be sending you the book that Steve and I wrote, Understanding and Loving Your Child in a Screen-Saturated World. We'll get that in the mail to you. Thank you for calling, Jennifer. We're going to go back to the phones. Ann is calling from Dallas, Texas, listening on Sirius XM. Ann, welcome to the program. How can we help you?
Hi. I have been married and for 44 years to a man that drinks every day, drinks beer. That's all. He justifies it somehow with that. And it's just to the point where I'm just like sick of it. And but every time I say something or ask him to do something, he's so defensive and combative. I mean, how can I come to it? And I went to an Al-Anon group or whatever, but I felt so out of place because he's not, I know he is, but he's not like the other people they were talking about. I don't know if that makes sense or not. He's extremely highly functioning, I guess, is what I'm trying to say.
And can you tell us, what do you think he's coping with by drinking beer daily? What's a pain? What's a discomfort in his life?
I don't know. I wish I knew. I've tried to get him to talk about things, from his childhood or, I've tried to play the counselor, but I never really get anything.
Well, and now
really, go ahead.
I was just going to say, now it's a daily habit, right? It's just
it's been that way for I mean, since I met him. To be honest with you, and he says I was doing this before we got married. And I'm like, I know, but I thought you would change. I mean, I thought you would grow out of it, or grow up, or change, or whatever. And obviously, 44 years later, it's not. And
is he?
Well, why is it bothering you now? It's always bothered me, always.
Is he drinking excessively to the point of intoxication?
Well, I mean, his tolerance is pretty high, but no, I would say, it just sounds horrible. I hate to even say that out loud. Like a 12-pack, a night, every night.
And has he ever stopped for a period of time or gotten any form of help?
Never.
And has it always been a 12-pack, or has that increased to a 12-pack over the years?
It's been that for as long as I can remember back, I guess.
Okay.
I mean, I can't really recall. But he doesn't, it's not like he's, I hate to say it because it's not like he's drunk. I can't really.
Right. No. I understand. And this is where it's tricky because he isn't having all of the problems, right?
Yeah.
But
and he gets up and goes, he's had the same job for 44 years. He gets drug tested. He gets all that kind of stuff all the time. And I mean, he doesn't do anything.
Right.
He's functioning.
Right. He is functioning. It works for him, except in the area of your relationship. So, one of the things is to let someone know how something impacts you. So, and right, you don't have a lot of complaints. He's not drunk and belligerent and doing all these things. But, sweetheart, when you drink at night, it makes me sad because I feel disconnected from you. So at the point he starts drinking, that disrupts your level of intimacy, your trust in him, your emotional connection. And so there's a separateness there that happens. And you guys, and he's very routine, right? He's got the same job, he does the same thing. And that's where I said, this is a habit, but it's his body is used to this as a form of medication. So if he were to stop, I mean, there would be some withdrawal that he would go through, because even though he has a high tolerance, a 12-pack, it's not just like one or two, right? And regardless of the amount, the problem is that it shuts down intimacy. And it keeps us from relationship. And so you've had all these years of, okay, now husband is checked out. That's, our evenings are where he's checked out. And sometimes people drink and they fall asleep that way. And so really it's just their kind of solo activity that doesn't include you. And that's the sadness, right?
So, Anne, I'm going to leave you with a question to think about over the break. Maybe you've done this before, but if you asked your husband again, I really want to get to know you better. There are things that I don't understand and I want to be better connected to you. Would you ever consider going into couples counseling or couples coaching with me? Don't answer that now, but think about it. We'll come back to you after the break and we'll strategize more with you what you can do and what you can say, because you do have power in this situation. And we'll be right back after this.
About 4 years ago is when I discovered my husband's addiction. I heard about New Life. It has been life-changing for me and for my husband both. It was direction when we were lost, and it was hope when we had none. The help that we received from New Life has been multifaceted. My husband did the Every Man's Battle workshop. We did the marriage weekend. We are avid listeners of the radio and TV programs, and I think those are awesome, wonderful resources. And, I think the people who support New Life financially are people that I'll never know. I'll never be able to thank them personally for the gift that they gave to us. I believe, beyond a shadow of a doubt, that their giving saved me, my husband, and our family from being torn apart.
To make your tax-deductible gift, visit newlife.com and click Donate. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE or text NLM to 28950. That's NLM to 28950.
I've been listening to New Life for many years, gone to a few workshops. I want to support a ministry that helps people connect with God and with others and gives them the tools to help transform their lives.
You can help New Life Live stay on the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you the new member thank you gift of all 8 100-day devotionals, including 100 Days of Healing, 100 Days from Freedom from Shame, and 100 Days of Freedom from Anger. There are also ongoing benefits like the monthly Club New Life CD or download, access to the Club New Life video library, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, discounts on workshops, and quarterly online meetings with Steve. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to New Life Live. This is Dr. Alice Benton here with Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Jim Burns. We're here just for an hour today, so if you want to call now. We still have a line or two open to be able to take your question. We've been talking with Anne, and she is struggling with how to address her husband's daily alcohol use. Jim, what have you been thinking?
Well, Anne, I wanted to go back to the question that Alice asked. Have you had counseling at all with your husband? I know you said you went to an Al-Anon.
No, I've always been the one that sought out.
Right.
I've done Celebrate Recovery. I've been a leader with that. But I still, this is just something that it causes me a lot of pain.
Right.
And I do feel very disconnected from him.
Yeah. Well, I think Jill picked it up when she said, intimacy means connection, and you feel disconnected. But, if somebody's drinking a 12-pack, first of all, this is no surprise to you, but I would say, without knowing everything, that he's a functioning alcoholic, because all alcoholics have a high tolerance for alcohol. So if there's somebody who can drink 2 beers and they feel a little bit buzzed, they could be a problem drinker, but they're probably not going to move toward alcoholism. So that is an issue that you have with him. He doesn't know it yet because this is how he's learned. I mean, he coped with stress before 44 years of marriage. This is how he's coping with stress. He's still coping with stress like that. But you have a choice. One is you live with this for the rest of your life, or you make a decision to say, you know what, I want to improve this thing, and that's not always easy because it may be going to an intimacy in marriage, saying to him, look, here's the deal, I want to sign us up for this, and it's so key for me. I need you to do something for me, and or frankly, you continue with counseling, maybe go into counseling and have the coach or the counselor help you form the conversation, almost the intervention, to have the kind of conversation that you and your husband need to have. Is it going to go always well? No. But I mean, we were talking about kids earlier. It's not like every time I punished one of my kids or put him on a timeout, they went, Dad, thank you so much. This is just the greatest thing. They still needed that, right? And I think sometimes in this relationship, it's if you want something to happen, you're going to have to take the lead and probably get the help to have somebody walk you through how to do that. The Bible's very clear: where there is no counsel, the people fall, but in the multitude of counselors there is safety. But I like the idea of going to something like an intimacy and marriage experience. Why I like that is because that's a breakthrough experience, and then you see other couples who have some of the similar situations. But I'd sure wish he would be willing to be a part of that.
And Ann, how do you think he'd respond? Ann, how do you think he'd respond if you asked him the question again?
He would. I was just thinking he'd probably say, "I'm not going to that." I mean, I just doubt that I would get a positive.
So, Ann, when
response.
he responds that way, and I bet you're right, he probably will. I want you to react with sadness. Oh, I'm just so sad that you aren't willing to do this for us and for our marriage. I am going to stay involved in help because I have developed a problem with your alcohol use. You may not have a problem with it, but I do.
Good.
And if you're not willing to come with me, if you're not willing for us to build our relationship together, I may have to take some emotional distance from you because my heart feels trampled on every night when you turn to beer instead of me. And as we work boundaries, if a person gives us a no, then we separate little by little over time while we're still looking at what's my part in this. Have I been avoidant? Have I nagged? Have I not stuck with help? Have I dropped help as well? Because as we keep going at this with humility, but with stronger limits of I'm going to protect my heart, my body from a person who's not willing to grow in relationship with me, that can be the motivator over time to change a person's mind when they're probably as afraid as your husband is. Alcohol has been his coping mechanism for probably most of his life.
Well, and I think sometimes saying that, Alice, to him, that you understand that he has not lived a day without alcohol since he was very young, right? And that what you're asking of him may feel like you're asking him to cut off his arm. But that in your sadness, you realize that the alcohol is more important than you. And that feels...
I've done that for a long time.
Okay. That feels so sad and hurtful, right?
And I'd also have you acknowledge to him that you're changing something. Even though you've always disagreed with his alcohol use, on the surface, it did seem to him as if you accepted him with his daily alcohol use, because that's how he was when you met him. Now, that's not how you have felt about it, but it has been how you've partially acted. So to acknowledge to him, I'm kind of changing the situation. I'm changing the rules. I'm changing my stance on this. That might feel unfair to you because it seems like it's been okay all along, but it's not okay anymore for me. And so this is what I'm going to do about it. I want you to go back to Al-Anon. I know you felt out of place there. And if Al-Anon's not the right fit for you, our New Life recovery groups might be a better fit. Don't stop trying groups until you find the right group.
Or even a CODA group, a codependency group.
Yes.
Sometimes people like, it's a little different than Al-Anon.
Yeah, I'm definitely a codependent person, and what I've learned to do is I just don't engage, and I really feel very unloved, I guess. I don't feel valued.
And that's part of your confession. I have been codependent. and I'm going to get help for my part in this. And we're going to send you understanding and loving a person with alcohol or drug addiction, because it will give you further steps to take, more wording to be able to use in trying to break through to him. Thank you for your courageous call. You might even have him listen to our recorded call afterwards. But we also have our Life Recovery, which is a way to catch up with us and to get even deeper into the topics that we offer. LifeRecoveryToday.net, where you can find videos about this, our screen use topics, much more. We'll be right back after this.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. Daniel Grossman on coaching.
Coaches are really focused on the future and helping people to develop those skills and those strategies to help them move forward in their life. A coach really partners with you to focus on things like personal growth or health goals, spiritual growth, helping you develop in your career or possibly strengthening your relationships or maybe even breaking free from a negative pattern.
If you need a coach for life, your career, relationships, your health and fitness, leadership, and more, call New Life today and ask about the New Life Coaching Network. Our coaches have been trained and screened with the same intensive process we use for our network counselors.
Coaches use different techniques. Some like to use strategic questions and accountability, ultimately empowering you to take those next steps toward your goals.
Take control of your life and take action to achieve your goals. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE and talk to us about getting a New Life coach today.
I really believe that everyone can use a coach in their corner.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back to the program. Dr. Alice Benton here with Dr. Jill Hubbard and Dr. Jim Burns. And I want to say something else to Ann, because the episode that airs on LifeRecoveryToday.net actually has to do with boundaries and interventions and why that is the most loving thing we can do with someone struggling with addiction who's in denial about how their addiction is affecting the people around them. I worked in a detox and residential treatment for substance use. And many addicts who were in recovery were able to say, if my family hadn't left me in jail overnight, if my family hadn't kicked me out, I would not have accepted recovery. I had to hit bottom, and they had to let me feel the pain of hitting bottom. But we want to intervene. We want to save them from that pain, but it can prolong addiction.
Yeah. You know, I was telling you at the break that my dad is like her husband. My dad, it took him, he was 69 years old. He had been drinking since he was 17. It was his way of, but he was a very functioning, alcoholic. He made good money. He worked hard. He had all these things. It took something where there was just an opening, and my dad had backed a car almost over a cliff, and we pounced on it. He went and got help, and he never drank again. Isn't that amazing? But it was that something there was fearful.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's health.
Right.
Sometimes it's an accident, whatever it is. And I think she should keep her eyes open for something like that, as much as we don't want him to do something terrible.
Folks, if you can relate to that situation, we're still taking calls today at 1-800-229-3000. We're going to talk now with Roger calling from Kansas, listening on KSNS. Roger, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to speak with y'all.
How can we help you, Roger?
Well, I'm kind of calling in to put in a plug for the show, really.
Roger, take your time. We love hearing from you. Go on.
Well, there was a statement made on one of the programs here in the last week or 10 days that just screamed at me, and that was that on average it roughly takes about 7 years for a marriage once to hit bottom and then to come back to a good place. And it truly has been my wife and I's situation. My wife came to me in 2015, and the bravest thing, that she ever did was to say, our marriage is a disaster. This has to change. And it was I can show you exactly where we were parked at in Abilene, Kansas, in a Holiday Inn Express parking lot. I've never forgotten it. And God bless her for doing that. And after about a year of me struggling with depression and thoughts of suicide and a lot of that kind of stuff, I was the one that called New Life because you guys have been on the radio for years, and I heard you for years, and I said, this has got to change. How can we do this? And I drugged my wife, kicking and screaming, to a workshop in Denver, and it started, we started the turn right there. And today, we're in a phenomenal place. Everything is, what it's not is giggly fun, and what it is a very, very strong, workable situation every day. And it started with New Life. If there is a married person listening today that is struggling to take what you guys just described, to draw the line in the sand, draw the line in the sand. God bless my wife for drawing the line in the sand, saying it must change now. And you guys started us in such a wonderful place. Thank you so much to each of you and to Steve.
And Roger, God bless you for listening to your wife.
Yeah.
For being one of those husbands that took her seriously.
Right.
She found a way to get your attention, and you heard her.
I drug her kicking and screaming. I call New Life the whipping post. It's the New Life whipping post. God bless you guys. I needed it. My wife's first husband, and by the way, that's me. He was the ding dong. And let me tell you, I've got solid, irrefutable evidence. You want that? I'll give it to you.
Yes.
Here it is. After several years, my adult daughter. One day, her and I in conversation, she lives out in California, and her and I just in conversation, she says, just out of the blue, Daddy, what's different? And I said, well, what do you mean, sweetie? And she says, no, Daddy, there's something different. There's something different. You are not the same dad I grew up with. What's different? There you go.
Wow.
Kids and dogs don't lie. They know the truth. You can't fool kids and dogs.
That's funny. Roger, you're amazing, and I'm going to give you the New Life Hero of the Day award. Jill always laughs because I'll do this. But honestly, you made a decision. It was a courageous decision. Mm-hmm. You took the advice of your wife, who said it wasn't going well, and you played for it. You know, fascinating enough, there's research that backs what you did. Research shows right now that people, even in a troubled marriage, if they'll persevere and they'll lean into it, 78% of people say that their marriage is now better off, and they're grateful for it when they thought it was going to be a disaster, the word your wife used. So you did that. So again, you're getting the New Life Hero of the Day award. So anyway, I don't think they're going to send you a sticker, but there you go.
I was just smart enough to follow the directions. You guys put the dots close together, and that's what I needed. And by the way, since then, all of my sons have attended the Every Man's Battle workshop, and myself as well. I have sponsored quite a few couples to come to your workshops. I'm pretty quiet about it, and we just do it. Any of my employees know if their marriage is in trouble, they come to me. We put them on a plane.
Wow,
that's just it.
What a guy.
You're passing it on, Roger.
I love that.
We don't have a hero.
It's our honor.
Thank you.
It's our honor. It's our privilege. This is the right thing to do. And thank you guys for being there.
We're going to send you one of the final books that Dave Stoop wrote with Steve Arterburn, which is Soul of a Hero, because that's how we see you, and we want to support you in continuing to pass the message on. Folks, he was talking about intimacy in marriage, which is our intensive. It will next be held in July 26 in Washington, D.C., but he also mentioned Every Man's Battle, and that one's coming up sooner. Online, couldn't be easier to attend on April 13th. And so please listen to what Roger did, turning his marriage around, saving it. That could happen for you as well. Roger, thank you so much for your call. We're going to go back to the calls. I want to welcome Carol to the program, calling from Houston, Texas, also listening on Sirius XM. Hi, Carol. How can we help you?
Yes, hi. Thanks so much for taking my call. I listen to y'all all the time, and I finally get up the nerve to call. So I do have, I have a son, and he's 31 years old. He's on the autism spectrum, very much so on an emotional level. He seems like he never grew beyond the age of 15 or so, but he's high functioning. He has a college degree. He works full time, but he's like he has his own apartment with a roommate. However, he comes to my home, I live alone, and he comes to my place every night after work, and he's like clingy to me. He's like scared to go home, and I don't know why, but he's just clinging to me. I don't know what to do. I'm just overwhelmed. But this has been a lifetime, over 30 years of, taking care of him and making all the executive decisions that he needs made, like going to the doctor, etc.
Carol, it must be so hard to know what boundaries to set with him, how much to comfort him, but maybe perhaps how much to challenge him to take some of this emotional distress on his own or with somebody else's help. Would you tell us what has been his father's role in his life, and is his father active at all in his life at this time?
Oh, gosh, yeah. I knew that question would come up. Yeah, his father is heavily involved in missions, and we were both heavily involved. And, of course, we're divorced now. But his father travels to another country and lives there most of the time. I mean, he comes back to America, to Houston, for about 3 weeks at a time, maybe at the most, and he'll say hi to James, and I'm sorry, said his name. He says hi to my son, and kind of orders him around, shoos him away. I have video of him shooing him away, and just kind of get away, because he does unusual things. I hear the music in the background. Oh, but anyway, he's not very loving, caring, and he doesn't seem to mentor him at all. He won't.
And so, Carol, if you will leave us with a question that we can ponder over the break, how can we best help you?
Yes. How do I find any kind of help for my son where he will actually do it? He won't go for help. So I've tried to help him, lead him. He needs someone to push him. And that might be me. So
we will talk about this while we're on break, and we'll come back with some strategies, some steps that you can take. Thank you for being the kind of mom that has the courage to ask the question. Be right back.
We all face days where life throws us a curveball and our routines or plans get disrupted. Things we wanted to do are forced to take a backseat to the unexpected demands of the day. If you normally listen to New Life Live on a radio station, well, you might not be able to that day. And on these hectic days when you're feeling stressed or frazzled, hearing the sound of counsel given on New Life Live is just what you need to navigate the unexpected things of life.
Every time I'm troubled or I have a problem, I'll cut on New Life, and there's always something that is said that is helpful to me.
By listening, I have learned more than I can ever express about how God wants me to live.
Download the New Life app for the easiest way to listen wherever you are and at a time that's convenient for you, or watch the show on our YouTube channel. You can even subscribe to our podcast from your favorite podcast provider. You never have to miss a day of New Life. Wherever you are, we are.
I was sort of vaguely familiar that the 12 steps had some origination in the Bible. I found Life Recovery, and one of the things I liked so much was that it had such a broad appeal. It wasn't limited to just alcohol or drugs, that it was addressing a wide range of problems.
At New Life, we believe everyone can benefit from a life recovery experience. There are life recovery groups all over the country. They take place online, in conference calls, and in person. And if there isn't one in your area, we can help you start one. We have startup materials, leaders' guides, CDs, Bibles, and more, all with discounts available for groups. Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE and ask for Terry Ward. The 12 Steps have long been a great help to people in recovery because much of the 12 Steps' power comes from the fact that they capture principles clearly revealed in the Bible.
The 12 steps is really a pattern for all of us as Christians.
Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We have been talking with Carol. She's concerned for her son, who's doing pretty well in life, high functioning, but struggles with autism and may be overly dependent on his mom for emotional comfort. And we do have some ideas to share with you, Carol. Jim, can I start with you?
You know, Carol, you are a wonderful mom. And what you've gone through, just know, my wife works with young people who have, you know, autism somewhere on the spectrum, and what you're doing is amazing. A couple of thoughts, quick thoughts. One is, you're going to have to wean him a little bit from him coming over every night, because you're his comfort, you're his safety. You will continue to be his comfort and safety. But, you know, I'm just suggesting that there might be a couple of nights where you're not as available for him. He's going to make it. He'll figure out how to get back over to his house or whatever it might be. The other thing, and we were kind of all in agreement with this, we were talking about this, is, you know, there are groups out there. There are groups for young people who actually are on the spectrum, but there's also groups that, you know, he's mainstreaming because he's got a job, he's got a roommate. I mean, he's high functioning. Went to college, sure. So, you know, sometimes a church youth group could be a great thing. Now, again, if there's too many people, sometimes people who you're describing your son, you know, they can be a little awkward relationally, or even you mentioned emotionally.
Yeah.
But honestly, there may be things where you say, hey, look, I heard of a great thing at our church that's going on. It's with these young people. You know, I want to take you out to a quick bite, and then I'll drop you off, and I've got some things I've got to do, and I'll be here to pick you up. You know, it's from 7 to 8, and I'll be here to pick you up at 8 if you need a ride back. You know, those kinds of things can actually be helpful, and all of a sudden he may go, wow, I like spending time with this group as much as I like spending time with mom. And that frees you up. You're still the safety, you're still the, you know, the loving, caring mom, but yeah, he does need to move toward more experiences outside those experiences. So if you're not always available, then that means he's going to have to figure that out on his own. And it might be that group. It might be, you know, something else. But I would suggest that you don't be as available 7 days a week.
Which means that you need to be planning things,
Yes.
because it's very hard as a mom to lie to our children, right? Oh, yeah. So you actually need to set up, like, I'm going out to dinner with a friend, or I have this on this night, so that it's not an every night routine, because, you know, people on the spectrum, they really like their routines. Right. And so you want to kind of break that up. Right. We were also talking, there are groups for like young adults who are on the spectrum that teach social skills, socialization, give like homework exercises, and create kind of a community so that they can learn, right, how to maybe emotionally match their age. Yeah. And so that would be a good thing to be looking up. I know the guy that started was out of UCLA, and there are groups in various locations.
No doubt, probably in Houston, and actually because he went to college, he's got some of these skills down. It's now he's getting comfortable with mom. So it's almost like, how does he move it?
To shift some of the dependency,
Exactly.
to broaden his spectrum of people where he can feel safe.
Yeah, I mean, we always talk about with adult children, you move them from dependence to independence. And with someone on the spectrum, they sometimes can't be totally independent, but they're going to have to be as time goes on, because they're going to have to figure this out as Carol gets older, et cetera. So the point being, now is the time to help him get there. And it's, as you well know, it's not going to be as simple as it would be with somebody who's not on the spectrum.
So Carol, prepare him in advance that your timing, your availability will be changing, and let him know you're happy to connect him with a coach who will help fill in the gaps when you're not available. Now, we can lead somebody to water, but we can't make them drink, but we can salt the oats. And you're salting the oats by offering him a resource and being less available at the same time. And way to go, Mom, because you've done a lot of this as a single mom, and it has been a difficult road. So we're going to be sending you Dr. Jim Burns' book, Doing Life with Your Adult Children. Carol, thank you so much for calling. We're going to fit in one final call today. Crystal, who is calling from, I think, Indiana. Crystal, we only have a couple minutes left, but we wanted to get to you. How can we help you?
Well, I've been married for 6 years. My husband has not had any intimacy with me because he says I'm not attractive. And he did have one time, but I was asleep. And I asked him why he married me. He said God told him. And every time I don't agree with the decision, well, God told me. It's really pushing me away. And I don't know how much more rejection I can take.
Oh, Crystal, these have been years of pain, and you're still so early on in your marriage. Do you have any suspicion that your husband struggles with mental illness or with substance use?
No. I mean, he treats me good in every other way. But as far as substance abuse, no.
This is a hard question. What about pornography use?
I don't know. He has his own thing. He has his own office type thing that he does. I'm not allowed in. But it's all for God. So I'm just really... I know I don't believe in divorce, but I tell you what, the struggle with God is real right now.
Yeah. Well, and some people use God to hide behind, right? Because him having this private space and shutting you out as a married partner, that doesn't sound too much of God, right?
Yeah, I know.
Crystal, have you gotten any structured professional help for this yet?
No. He don't believe in doctors, and he don't believe in... He just thinks they're all trying to kill us, so...
Crystal, I'm hearing something that sounds like paranoia on your husband's part. It was why I actually asked about the mental illness question, because some people who struggle with paranoia, they can go into a religiosity bent.
Yes.
And it can cover up some of their disordered thinking. So that's got to be hard to hear from me as well, that might be going on with your husband. And if he is so refusing to talk with you about this or to get help, this is another one of those situations, Crystal, where you're going to have to take a strong stance of what you will do if he will not accept that this is a broken marriage and you folks need help for it. How would it be for you to both ask him again if he will come to counseling with you, but then to let him know if he doesn't, then you're going to have to change some things on your end because this is not sustainable for you. How scary would it be to do that?
Very, because I have no self-confidence at all right now. I don't have any family except for them right now. My mom's a PA, and that's the only family I got. Besides my brother, but I haven't seen him in 5 years, So
I'm going to say then, Crystal, I'm going to say we need to build you up before you'll be ready to take a stand like that. And there are a couple of different ways we can help build you up.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to make you mad.
Sweetheart, I'm not mad at you at all right now. In fact, I am for you, and we want to help you. And I just understand that my advice is a little bit too far down the road for where you are. We need to build you up by bringing some professionals around, by bringing a sisterhood around you. So I want you to stay on the line. We're going to get you connected with a coach in your area who can help you build the strength and the courage and the community, because we can't take a strong stance on our own. We need people around us to give us the right words to say, to give us the courage and the ability ability to do this. And so we've got some great professionals there in your area who can help walk you through this. Stay on the line. I'm going to send you Boundaries. Boundaries is one of our best books for situations like this, and it was written by Henry Cloud and John Townsend. So stay on the line. Folks, I'm going to leave you with a verse, which is, do not grow weary of doing good, for at the right time we will reap a harvest of righteousness if we do not give up. And it's so hard not to give up. You can always call us here at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We will help you not give up.
Thanks for listening. We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Thanks for watching today. We love helping people. I hope you sense that. And we know that there's always hope if you find the right resource. Now, if something we've said to somebody else applies to you, that's fantastic. That's what we're hoping for. But also, if you want to join us directly, you can call 1-800-229-3000 between 1 and 3 Eastern Time, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Those are the best times to get through. And while you're here on YouTube, check out these other videos that we've done to help people see where they could grow or a different path to take. And if you do that, would you give us a thumbs up on the video, and please subscribe to this channel. There are many ways that we can help you outside of the radio program, and it's very hard for some to pick up a phone and dial 1-800-NEW-LIFE, but when you do, we put you in touch with somebody who cares about you, knows all the resources out there, and they're going to find the best for you. There is no reason to struggle alone. I hope to see you tomorrow. Hope you'll invite somebody else to come and join that maybe needs just a little bit of help along the way. I'll see you next time.